Vincenzo'S Go Crypto Investing this July the 29th, 2025, noontime, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And I ask you to bell notification, comment down below, join the channel and share to get that truth, trust, education, and information that you need. And as we are all, and you are joining me on our mission to become asset millionaires via gold and silver bullion and mining stocks, 401k steady investing, cryptocurrencies, cash on the side for emergencies, peace of mind, buying new assets and or accumulating more of an existing asset, as well as real estate. And those are our ways that we get to become an asset millionaire. And if we look at the Bitcoin price today, you can see the price is correcting down, something that we've been talking about, that we could have a correction for the last several weeks. A correction is actually overdue. I had something that I wanted to see. 1,000 Bitcoin to open first. Bitcoin a lifeline. That's not it. It's right down here. I can't find it now. I hate when I pull up stuff and then when I want to go right back into it to pull it up for you guys, it's not there. It moves. It's frustrating. I can't find it. It was something interesting though. But perhaps I know it'll come back up as soon as I put this video off. But I do not have all the time in the world. 1,000 red light auditing Bitmain to open first U.S. base. An institutional profit taking about to derail Bitcoin rally. That's not it. But this is talking about it. It was going to talk about things that could derail the price. But I don't know where that article went. But I don't have time for this. So we're just going to move on. And I will find it at a later time and then bring it to you guys. Crypto whale dumps over 40,000, because it had to do with that. They were talking about all the big dumps by whales that have had Bitcoin for 13, 14, 15 years, and they're just now selling it. And I thought that was very important because those are long-term whales. And part of the reason with those people that don't sell, that's one of the things I was letting the market go up fast, right? But they sold, took their profit, and I wanted to talk about that, but now this video is just filibustering, and it's come to a screeching halt. So I apologize for wasting your time here. Ethereum, corporations have acquired 1% of Ethereum. Backed stock plummets 40% after announcing pricing of 75 million public offering to buy Bitcoin. So that didn't work out as planned. There we go. It's on this side now. It's not that one. Bitcoin, I think it's down. It's got to be on this side now. Digital commodities, K13, XRP. Bitcoin price shrugs off a potential new 450 million Galaxy Digest BTC sale. This is kind of on par. Bitcoin returned to 119,000 after a CME gap filled on Galaxy Digital. Never one OG BTC sales seem to have passed after last week's 80,000 Bitcoin transaction, and those were from a 14-year-old account. So those were massive returns. That was one of the original OGs that profited. And as these start to happen, that can have a big downturn on Bitcoin because it's long-term holders with 80,000 Bitcoin selling them, right? And if these guys, and this actually becomes a trend, right now that was just one person doing it, and there's only about a couple people doing it, but if that becomes a trend this year where you're getting 14, 15-year-old accounts with 100,000, 50,000, 200,000 Bitcoins and they're selling them, that's going to make the price plummet. So that's something that we need to pay attention to. Although that did just drag this video down, I apologize. I will find that article because that's very important, because one of the things in the long term right now that has had a floor on Bitcoin and has and has allowed the pump to pump even more is that these people that bought 15 years ago for $50, for $100, for $25, they were not selling, right? They weren't selling. But if they start to sell and it becomes a trend, that could be very, very big as far as turning the price bearish. But right now, we're in the weekly time frame. We're still bullish and consolidating. If we go into the daily time frame, we're still bullish and consolidating. And you can see we're in this to see if this is the consolidation we're in right here with our track. And if it is, your next move is all the way up to 155, right? But on the downturn, your initial underneath short-term support is the 50-day moving average. Then your major short to medium-term bullish support is the 100-day moving average and this rising channel support. In purple, you can see a few times we've hit upper resistance and then a few times we've hit lower support. And right now we're in the consolidation phase where if you break out to the upside and follow the track, you're going to shoot up another 20-25%, right? All the way up to the 150,000. But if you come and correct to the downside, you would have an initial correction of about 8 to 10% down to lower support, the same area that you hit right here where you tapped it about a month and a half ago before you had your next move to the upside. So that's what we're looking at in Bitcoin there. Ethereum, same thing. We're trying to put in a daily red candle for the first time in about a week. We're just below major upper resistance at the megaphone neckline resistance. And you can see we have our megaphone pattern. If we zoom out into the weekly time frame, where we have an upper resistance over a long period of time, horizontal, and then we have a descending lower support, right? Forms a megaphone pattern, and a breakout to the upside is a technical target at $10,000, right? But in the short term, right now we're coming up to the major upper resistance, and we've been rejected a couple of times just below it. Right now we're still in a bullish correction, and just like we had last week where you corrected almost to the top part of this trading zone right there, you could have a correction if you slip again back to this regional local bottom and the top part of this green trading zone at 34.72. That is possible, and that would be from the top to there. That would be an 11 to 12% correction. Then you can make a reload to try to break that $4,000, or you can just keep consolidating sort of sideways in a jagged fashion around where you're at now and then make another run, right? But right now your major upper resistance is 4,053. That's about a 3-year-old resistance level, and your major underneath support is 34.72. If we go into XLM, same thing. You can see, look at that, we got rejected by that 43 cents, an area that you're trying to break above, because if you stay below this, you become short-term bearish, and that would likely drive you down to the next major underneath support level, which is the 50-day moving average and the 36 cents, or the top part of that green trading zone. And you can see in the updated time frame today, it's starting to level off now because the price has been consolidating sideways, but the 50-day is just below that 36 cents, and that 36 cents and the 50-day, if you're below those two, you become extremely medium-term bearish, right? But as long as you're above those two, you're medium-term bullish. If you're below the 43 cents like you are right now, you're short-term bearish, right? So that's how these support and resistance zones are going to work right here. If you're above the 43 cents, you're short-term bullish, and you can make a run at 55 cents. But currently, you can see we're just below that major area, and you've gotten rejected beautifully by it. So you're going to have to try to hold this area right here, this support level right there, just like you're in now. You want to hold it and get back on top of this 43 cents, because then you can get back to short-term bullishness. Right now you're short-term bearish because you've got a confirmation of a rejection off of it, and that would technically tell you, if you can't get back on top of that, these are your two targets, the 36 cents and that 50-day in the daily. XRP is similar. It's trading back down towards the 304, and that 304 is its 43 cents. It got rejected by the 376, the major overhead resistance. As long as you're above the 304, you're short-term bullish and can make another run at the 376. But if you get below this 304, just like XLM is below that 43 cents, you instantly become short-term bearish, and your major underneath support becomes the 50-day in the daily and this $2.55 horizontal left to right. And that 255 is your medium term bearish. If you're below that, you're extremely bearish in the medium term. If you're above that, you're medium term bullish. And if you're below the 304, you're short term bearish. If you're above it like you are now, you're short term bullish, as long as you stay on top of that, right? And that's the two areas that we're looking at, because there's one of two things are going to happen here in the short term. There's going to be a massive correction, and especially in some of the Bitcoin and the Ethereum, the higher moving coins and the bigger cap. There's going to be a major correction as all the retail is in, and now you have all the institutions in buying up the Bitcoin and buying up the Ethereum and buying up the Solana, putting them into their ETFs. You have all these corporations converting their public stock and borrowing their money to buy Bitcoin on leverage, and they're doing it now. More than 300 or 400 companies, big companies, that has a cascading effect if this ever turns out wrong, because it would bring companies and sectors of the economy that had nothing to do with Bitcoin, but now indirectly would be directly correlated and harmed by a corporation having problems because the price of Bitcoin went down and their preferred stock margins got called and they had to forcefully sell, and companies could go bankrupt. That's either going to happen, or this is just going to fly to $300,000, right? But I think something big like that's going to happen again, just like the bear market we had after COVID. But this one's going to be even bigger, because you have a lot of institutions in there with and they have their companies and businesses as their leverage, right, or collateral, which is not good if things go bad, right? But that's the XRP. If we look at the XCN, we'll look at that in an altcoin update. I'm going to let you go. This was just my lunchtime update. I rambled enough. Peace and love. The Rock's Eyebrow, Jay.